And now, from approximately coast to coast, it's the Bob and Ray Radio Show. Okay, Paul, we got a lot of work to do, so let's cut out the music and get to the words here.
If you people like things like dining out suggestions or an episode of anxiety, this is the show for you, because we'll be here for the next half hour.
And speaking out right now.
Yes, we're going to present our public service feature where we urge all of you to phone in with your opinion on some controversial issue of the day.
Now, we only ask that you make your comments as thought-provoking as possible. You see, our show is under consideration for one of radio's top humanitarian awards, and we need your help to clinch it.
Well, I don't think we're under consideration for any humanitarian. That fellow came by the office last week, was just selling trophies. He said they could be engraved any way we wanted, and it was your idea to make ours a humanitarian award.
I know, but I just wouldn't feel right about doing it unless I thought we'd really earned one.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, I urge you listeners to make us feel proud of ourselves by confining your remarks to thought-provoking issues when you phone in.
I know the remarks always provoke a lot of thoughts in my mind when I hear our listeners express them. I see the light is flashing on the first call for today. It's coming in. Hello, would you give us your name, please?
Yes, my name is Mr. Thelma Higgity.
Your first name is Thelma, is that right?
No, my name is Hubert Wanamaker, but my wife didn't like that. So when we got married, she remained Thelma Higgity, and she was kind of insistent that I become Mr. Thelma Higgity.
Well, I guess there's nothing really wrong with that.
I certainly hope not. I don't want to get into any trouble.
I don't think you will. So what's the opinion you'd like to express?
Well, it's my opinion that most men are thoughtless clods. They just want their wives to be servant girls who'll clean and cook for them. And also, I can't read Thelma's writing on this next item.
Well, sir, is this your own opinion you're giving us, or is somebody else's?
Oh, it's mine, yes, sirree. And getting on to the next part, I see now it's just a list of the errands that Thelma wants me to do over the weekend.
All right. Well, was there anything else you wanted to say?
Just a minute. Thelma, is there anything else I have an opinion about? No, I don't have an opinion about anything else.
No, huh? Okay, well, thanks for sharing your views, and please accept our sympathy as we move on to another caller. Let's try this line here. Your name, please?
Mrs. Leona Bagwell of Topeka, Kansas. It's my opinion that my neighbors, the Clevengers, shouldn't turn off all their lights and pretend they're not home when they see me coming up the walk to pay a little visit.
Well, that's not really an opinion on a controversial public issue, man.
Well, it's touched off quite a controversy between myself and the Clevengers. Now, last evening, I just wanted to drop in and show them some snapshots of my married daughter's vacation trip to Mount Rushmore.
Mm-hmm.
But they told me I'm a boring person, and they decided to turn the lights out and pretend they weren't home.
Did they also mention that you come over too often and never know when to leave?
Yes, they did. In fact, they went into quite a bit of detail about that.
Well, then it sounds as if the subject's been pretty well covered. I think we better move along to a final caller. Hello? Your name, please?
I'm Gabby Proxer. I live in an empty cardboard box that somebody put out behind the hardware store. I guess one of the clerks put it there.
Probably so. What's the opinion you'd like to give us today?
It's my opinion that the cars they make in this country should have the steering wheel on the right side the way they do in England.
Oh, why is that?
Well, it would make parallel parking a lot easier. I never know how far I am off the curb, so I have to lean clear across to the other side to look. And I just think that if the English have solved that problem, so can we.
Well, I assume you know the English drive and park on the left side of the street.
Well, then, what's the point of putting the steering wheel on the right side of the car? English drivers must have to lean clear across to see how far they are from the curb.
I really don't know why it's done that way, sir, but they do it that way. And if that completes the opinion you called in to express, then...
No, I just got another opinion. I think the English are really dumb.
Well, I guess that one will stir up the kind of controversy we like to get. Thanks for creating a lot of international misunderstanding, sir, and I hope the rest of you listeners may do the same next time when we'll invite you to take part in another session of Speaking Out. If you were around here not too many shows ago, you heard us tell you about losing correspondent Wally Ballou in Teaneck, New Jersey. You'll be overjoyed now to hear that he's turned up safe and sound in Bayonne.
Well, that's right. Now, for some reason, Teaneck and Bayonne always did sound alike to Wally. But otherwise, he's fine. In fact, he's standing by in Bayonne right now with a special report. So come in, please, Wally Ballou.
His velvet-voiced Wally Ballou in Bayonne, New Jersey, and with me is Mr. Conrad Wurtzer, who operates a very unique type of school here. I wonder, Mr. Wurtzer, if you'd tell our listeners about it.
Well, I run the Garden State School for parking lot attendants, and right now I have about 200 young punks studying here under my expert guidance.
Uh-huh.
Hey, you in the turquoise jumper. The next time you back that baby in, I want to hear them tires squeal.
You know, I never realized that a young squirt with dreams of a career parking cars had to go to school to learn how.
Well, the job's a lot more complicated than it used to be. For instance, with automatic transmission and all the imports coming in, a kid has to know how to strip the gears on cars with at least 3 different kinds of shifts now.
Uh-huh.
Hey, Shorty, don't pull out like you was driving to a funeral. Gun the motor, and then slam on the brakes the way I learned you.
I noticed that you encourage your students to, let's say, abuse the cars as much as possible.
Well, that's right. You see, with parking rates jacked up the way they are, we figured that the car owner's entitled to get a real hair-raising experience for his money. Hey, you in the leotards, don't you realize you just muffed a chance to smash the fenders on both sides there?
You, like to see a lot of physical damage done to the cars, too, do you, sir?
Well, that's just an advertising gimmick. We feel that if the motorist can take home some little memento, like a dent or a scrape, he'll remember us the next time he's in the neighborhood. Hey, you heard the owner of that one say he'd only be gone 10 minutes? Put it in the back row, behind all the others.
Excuse me, Mr. Wurtzer, but if that car is only going to be here 10 minutes, why would you put it in the back row?
So we'll have to move every car in the lot to get it out. That bird's going to owe us for at least 2 hours parking before he gets away from here.
It's just good business to arrange the cars so you can't get to them, huh?
Yeah, there's a lot more to running a good lot than just knowing how to park cars. For one thing, you've got to be able to handle a fast clock.
A fast clock?
Yeah, that's right. You see, most lots use a time clock to punch the cars in. And if you set the clock to run off an hour in about 45 minutes, you can boost your profits considerably.
I can imagine, but don't the car owners complain about that?
Sometimes, but what can they do? We got their car, and all they've got is a ticket with the wrong name and address printed in small type at the bottom. They can't even prove that this is where they parked. Okay, Red, let her go!
You know, I don't think I've ever seen a worse accident than that in a parking lot.
Yeah, Red's one of our top students. He's doing graduate work here on a fellowship from a body and fender shop.
Let's see. Well, this little chat has been very enlightening, Mr. Wurtzer. And now this is Wally Ballou in Bayonne, sending it back to Bob and Ray in New York. Hi, this is Sergeant Ben Royster again, and this is your Army Amateur Hour, today broadcasting from the spacious parade grounds here at Fort Schilling, home of the famous 12th. And I see our first possible candidate for the Drill Talent Award is ready and stepping right up to our microphone. Soldier, give us your name and rank, will you?
I'm PFC Sherman Weppel, temporarily attached to the Frogman Naval Command School, District 6, Fort Everglades, Florida, for special training.
Well, that's great. I guess as a frogman, you get to see plenty of water, huh?
That's right, Sergeant.
What are you doing here at Fort Schilling, Major?
Well, you invited me to appear in your show, Sergeant.
Well, after a trip as long as the one you took, I hope you have talent. Just what talent do you have, Corporal?
In my barracks, I'm known as the singing word artist. I can make up a tune to anything that appears in the newspaper.
Of course, you need a newspaper for that.
That's right, Sergeant. I've got one here with me.
All right, Sergeant. Now here's PFC Sherman Weppel in a singing newspaper rendition.
Milton Crocker, age 38, was a sadder but wiser man today. In the early morning hours, Crocker's dog, Meanie, left his master's home to make a tour of the neighborhood. What Crocker didn't know was that unbeknownst to him, there was a...
That's great. Very good indeed.
Does this mean I'll make the semifinals in the quest for the coveted Drill Talent Award?
Well, it all depends on the newspaper you pick, Corporal, the story, anyway. I didn't like the one you just did, but I do like your style, so you never can tell. Thanks again. And now I see our next contestant approaching the stage, and my card informs me he's a member of the military police. Step right up, soldier, and tell us where you're from.
I'm Lieutenant Gordon Cozy, attending the Armed Riot School here at Fort Schilling.
Ah. Well, okay, let's give him a chance. There's plenty to learn in your field, I guess, isn't there, Lieutenant?
Well, with the maintenance of law and order, there's always...
Where is your permanent station, Captain?
Fort Sumter is my home base.
I understand that's a very popular fort, Major.
Well, I guess it is.
Now, what are you going to do here on our stage, Colonel?
I suppose you've noticed this little model warship equipped with wheels, which I have with me, Sergeant.
Yeah, it has a sail on it, too, I see. That's not a very faithful model, Private. What are you actually going to do with it?
Well, after I set her down on stage here, I'm going to get right close to her and whistle anchors away into her sails. Now, you'd be surprised at the realistic effect.
All right, here's Lieutenant Gordon Cozy whistling anchors away from a low position to propel a model warship. Well, that's it, huh? That was a fine effort, Captain. Can you get the model ship repaired in time for our semifinals to be held October 13th at the Wexler Military Academy?
I don't see why not, Sergeant.
Wonderful. We'll see you there then, and a host of other talented military personnel at that time. Now, this is Sergeant Ben Royster bidding you goodbye from the spacious parade grounds here at Fort Schilling, home of the famous 12. Come with us now as we again return to Garish Summit and its endless tales of intrigue among the socially prominent. There in stately splendor, far removed from the squalid village below, they fight their petty battles over power and money. As our action resumes, wealthy young Caldwell Murchfield has been released from jail after successfully framing his long-lost uncle for the crime that he himself committed. Back at Murchfield Manor, a lavish celebration is planned to welcome Caldwell home.
Rodney, straighten that welcome back from the clink sign just over your head there. The right end needs to come up an ounce.
Mother, I hope you'll let me get off this ladder soon. You know, I'm terrified of high places.
Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. Now, the sign is all right sidey-wise, but the horseshoe of flowers above it's offset.
I'm going to have to come down now, Mother. I'm getting one of my nervous nosebleeds.
Oh, my word, Rodney, you're such a wet blanket. A person would almost think you're not overjoyed to have your brother coming home.
Well, of course I'm overjoyed, Mother, in moderation. It's just that Caldwell is a loudmouth bully who's always trying to take over my position at the company and steal my fiancée. I suppose I feel more comfortable when people like that are in jail.
Well, then I have no idea why you're helping me get ready for his welcome home party.
I don't understand that either. We have a whole staff of servants, and many of them aren't even afraid of high places.
Well, I'm giving them time off to celebrate Caldwell's homecoming, too. They're all under my strict instructions to hold a picnic and enjoy themselves on the side lawn. I'm sure that's what they're doing right now.
Very well, Lloyd. Let's see you strike it through the center wicket from here.
Gosh darn it. How could anybody play a decent game when we have to use these lopsided rocks for croquet balls? I sure wish Miss Agatha would spend a couple of bucks to buy us a new croquet set.
Oh, there, Lloyd. Miss Agatha's a good sort. She just doesn't believe in wasting money when we play croquet so seldom.
Seldom? She makes us play every Sunday afternoon all summer, and we've never finished a game yet. Who could, trying to hit rocks through these bent coat hangers?
Now, Lloyd, Miss Agatha's a good sort. It's just getting all upset like this, it throws your game off.
I want to stop. Hitting this rock with a mallet makes my hands sting.
They'll toughen up, Lucille. And we can't stop playing. Miss Agatha told us we had to stay here and enjoy ourselves until 5 sharp. Now, who else wants a snack from the picnic lunch Miss Agatha packed for us?
Well, not me. I think Miss Agatha put all that garbage in an ice chest so just we wouldn't notice the rancid fried chicken.
Nonsense, Lloyd. Miss Agatha's a good sort. She just wanted to keep everything nice and moist for us.
Who wants moist potato chips? I tell you, it takes a cruel woman to pack loose potato chips in an ice chest. I'll bet they're not eating slop like this inside the big house. Everybody's probably having a ball in there.
Mother, Caldwell poked me in the head with his shish kebab skewer the minute your back was turned.
Ah, don't be such a panty-waist tattletale, Rodney. It's my coming-out party, and I think we should all enjoy ourselves.
How can you enjoy yourself knowing that Uncle Bronco Billy Murchfield is wasting away in jail for a crime that you committed?
He's not wasting away. I slipped the guard $5 to give Uncle Bronco Billy all the bread and water he wants.
That's beside the point. The point is that you're walking the streets scot-free while he faces a 10-year prison term.
Oh, you're mistaken, Rodney. It's going to be a 20-year term. Bronco Billy has a legitimate claim to our family fortune, so I've arranged with the judge to have him put away for a long, long time.
Can Agatha hope to keep a family skeleton in her closet once Bronco Billy's trial begins? Will the servants be too stiff to clean out any of the family closets after their croquet game ends? And what about the soggy potato chips? Perhaps we'll learn more next time when we hear Lloyd the gardener say,
"No two ways about it, Wilfred. I'm going to wrap this wicket around your scrawny little neck."
That's in the next exciting episode of Garish Summit.
And now it's time for another story of drama and tense emotion. A tale well designed to keep you in anxiety. And here with us again to set the stage for our latest thriller is the noted lecturer and world traveler, Commander Naval Putney. Well, Commander, I'm sure you've reached into your amazing file and brought forth another tale, well designed to keep us all in anxiety.
Yes, indeed, I jolly well have, young man. Today's documented account concerns 2 young men who had bought an old abandoned gold mine in the far west. They dug through the tunnels, hoping to find a new vein of gold ore that the original owners of the mine had never located. Little did they dream that striking it rich would only bring them face to face with anxiety. The central figures in our story of terror were named Otis Clevenger and Otis Harcourt. One day, while working far underground, they blasted through a wall of rock to reveal more gold than either of them had ever seen. But the charge of dynamite also caused the old mine timbers behind them to collapse. And so it was with mixed emotions that Otis Clevenger turned to his friend and spoke.
Otis, I'm speaking to you with mixed emotions. On the one hand, we just found more gold than either of us has ever seen before. But on the other hand, the tunnel behind us collapsed, trapping us in here.
Well, I don't think there's any cause for alarm, Otis. With this newfound fortune, we can hire as many people as we need to dig us out.
I'm afraid I don't find much cause for encouragement in your line of thinking, Otis. If we were able to get out of this mine to hire rescuers, then we'd already be out of this mine, if you follow my logic.
Yes, when you put it that way, it's hard to escape the truth. I guess the glitter of all that gold made me forget for a moment that, well, we may never get out of here to cash in on our good luck. Who knows?
Well, I don't think there's much question about our future, Otis. After all, the entrance to this mine is in a remote section of the Arizona desert. We're the first men to be digging down here in almost 100 years. So I'd say that our chances of being found are Zilch.
But you've forgotten one thing, Otis. We left our canteen hanging on a tree limb outside the mine entrance. Anyone finding it might realize that means there's someone in here.
You've forgotten one thing, Otis. Leaving our canteen out there also means that we don't have it in here. Now, that could cause us to perish from thirst even before we run out of oxygen.
That's true. As I said before, the glitter of all that gold made me lose my head for a moment. But I can see now that our plight is hopeless out here in the middle of nowhere. So, as a final gesture of friendship, allow me to give you my half of the gold.
Well, that's very kind of you, Otis. And in return, I'll give you my half. That way maybe our families can both avoid paying inheritance tax. And there's no doubt that our estates will be coming up for probate soon. Because we're goners, and we know it.
How about that for a bit of a yawn to make your hair stand on end, young man?
Boy, that sure was a thriller, all right, Commander. But you can't just leave us in anxiety this way. Did Otis and Otis really perish amid that fortune of gold, as they fully expected?
No, as you apparently fail to realize, the guards at Fort Knox make their rounds every hour. So Otis and Otis were found in short order and released after questioning.
What do you mean, as I apparently fail to realize? The guards making their rounds at Fort Knox couldn't possibly have anything to do with this story. Fort Knox is in Kentucky, and our heroes were digging in Arizona.
That's only partially true, young man. They started digging in Arizona, but as I specifically stated, they were far underground when they found the gold. So you should have guessed that they'd blasted through the back wall of the vault at Fort Knox.
Well, I don't know that I should have guessed that, Commander, but I certainly should have guessed that you'd find some ridiculous, impossible way to make your story fall flat as a pancake at the end. You do that every time you come here.
Cheeky young blighter, I'll have you know that every one of these accounts comes right out of my amazing file.
Well, for my money, the only amazing thing about your file is that every story in it is an absolute bona fide 100% clinker.
That'll be quite enough of your impudence. Now read the closing announcement of yours and be quick about it.
Okay, I'm sure going to sound ridiculous after what we've just been through. But if it'll put an end to this fiasco, I'll give it a try. Friends, be sure to join us next time when Commander Putney will again reach into his amazing file and bring forth a tale well designed to keep you in anxiety.
And now it's time for another visit to the Bob and Ray Hobby Hut, brought to you by the Peruvian Lumber Cartel, processors of lightweight balsa wood to make your model planes fly higher and break more easily. And again today, our host in the Hobby Hut is, of course, Neil Clummer, editor of Wasting Time magazine. And, Neil, I'm sure you've brought another very special guest with you.
Yes, I certainly have, Bob. Now, this gentleman who's getting up the row of cages here beside me is Mr. Harold Gumpier of McKeesport, Pennsylvania. And, Mr. Gumpier, I wonder if you'd tell our listeners about the unusual collection that's brought you so much acclaim from hobbyists everywhere.
Oh, I'd be happy to, Neil, and I might also add that this is the first public display of my collection because the specimens are all so rare and delicate. You see, I collect living animals of species that were thought to be extinct.
Well, that's truly amazing. Now, how'd you get started on a difficult collection like that?
It began easily enough, Neil. I was walking to school one day when I was a kid, and I came across this baby bird that had fallen out of its nest. So I took it to show my science teacher, and he said to me, "I'll be darned if that doesn't look like a baby dodo that was thought to have been extinct since 1681.
Well, I'm sure you were surprised to hear that, and I assume you nursed the baby bird back to health to begin your collection.
Yes, I did, Neil. He's almost 20 years old now, which is quite elderly for a bird, but I've given him the best of care. So as you can see there in the cage, he's still bright-eyed and perky.
Yes, he's obviously healthy, but he doesn't look much like the old drawings of dodos that I've seen. In fact, this bird looks a lot like a robin.
Well, of course, we can't be sure what any species looks like that was thought to be extinct for so long. I was a little surprised, too, at the way he developed when he grew out of babyhood, but I guess, well, nature's full of surprises.
Uh-huh. Was your science teacher still convinced he was a dodo even after he, turned out this way?
Well, the science teacher never saw him again, Neil. He was just a substitute teacher who was only there for a few days. I think he normally taught Spanish somewhere.
I see. Well, in any event, you were started on your collection of animals that were thought to be extinct. Now, how long did it take you to track down your second specimen?
Not long at all, Neil. You see, our local paper ran a little squib about my finding the dodo, and it was only a few days later that a guy dropped by the house and offered to sell me the world's last remaining passenger pigeon for $5.
Passenger pigeons were also thought to be extinct, is that right?
Yes. There was quite a big to-do when the last one supposedly croaked back in the 30s. But as you can see down there in the bottom cage, mine is still thriving.
Yes, it's thriving, but it looks like any ordinary pigeon to me.
Well, I guess the markings are different or something. I never checked out all the details.
But you paid $5 for this thing from some total stranger who brought it to your house and said it was a passenger pigeon?
No, actually, I talked him down to $3.50. You have to learn to dicker with people in this field or they'll try to take advantage of you.
I suppose that's because there are no established prices for animals that are thought to be extinct.
Absolutely right. Now, you take my prize specimen over here in this cage. It's a brontosaurus, and no dinosaurs of that type had been seen in modern history. So I just offered the owner $200 for this one to feel him out, and I was really shocked when he accepted.
Well, I'm not too surprised. That's not a dinosaur, it's a gopher.
Well, a modern gopher may have evolved from this creature, but this one's definitely a brontosaurus.
I couldn't be. It's a tiny little thing with fur. The brontosaurus was a huge reptile, so if you just pack up your stuff and clear out while I tell the listeners at home that this is Neil Clummer, urging you all to have a good day and find a good hobby.
This edition of the Hobby Hut has been brought to you by the Peruvian Lumber Cartel, processors of lightweight balsa wood to make your model planes fly higher and break more easily. Friends, if you're an avid model maker whose home is getting overcrowded with models because you don't break many of them, perhaps you're not using enough fragile balsa wood. Many model planes crafted of genuine Peruvian balsa are totally demolished on their first flights. You'll want to throw them away without a moment's hesitation and begin all over again in a clean workshop uncluttered with your old mistakes. But to make sure of turning out consistently fragile work time after time, be sure to ask your dealer for genuine balsa wood produced by the Peruvian Lumber Cartel. And join us again soon for another visit with your host, Neil Clummer, in the Bob and Ray Hobby Hut.
And, of course, welcome to that fine new sponsor, may I add. Well, time's up for this Bob and Ray show, which, as always, was developed and produced by Larry Josephson for the Radio Foundation.
Associate producer was Lars Hoel, who frequently takes snapshots with the lens cap on.
Paul Taubman was at the organ.
And providing sound effects, Al Schaefer.
Writing supervision by August T. May, author of many of your favorite children's books. When he dines out, August likes to have his meat and vegetables cut up for him.
Technical Director David Glasser, Engineering Assistants Marty Newman, Miles Smith, and Jay Newland.
Production Assistants Bill O'Neill and Charles Whitson.
The Bob and Ray Show was recorded at Howard Schwartz Studios, the same Howard Schwartz who recently lost a fortune trying to open a chain of shops selling 5-cent ice cream cones.
Funding was provided in part by the National Endowment for the Arts and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting through NPR's Satellite Program Development Fund. Now, this is Ray Goulding reminding you to write if you get work.
Bob Elliott reminding you to hang by your thumbs.